What is going on, barbarians? Welcome to another video. In this one, I'm going to explore why India and China suck at football. Okay, I haven't heard anything like I haven't seen none of their teams show up at any type of World Cups or anything like that, which is insane. But before we actually get up into it, make sure you like, subscribe, and you hit that notification button, man, so y'all can keep track with me as I try to catch up with over 100 years of football history and, find out little things. So anything you want to share with me, put it into the comments. And we're trying to find out why. We found out why America wasn't good. Now it's trying to find out why other countries aren't good at this sport. Let me know who else isn't good so we can figure that out in the comments too. Man, so let's get right to it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out why they're not good at all.
48 countries played in the 2026 FIFA World Cup finals, 16 more than last time. That opened the door for some tiny countries, like Cape Verde, population 500,000, and Curacao,
Cape Verde actually went very far.
just 150,000. They made this World Cup feel like the biggest ever. They
As what they call it the American sleepover.
also made two absences, impossible to ignore. India has 1.5 billion people. China has 1.4 billion.
Goddamn.
It's about 9,000 times more people than Curacao. Yet neither found 11 good enough at football to qualify for the World Cup.
Yo. So I got a question, man. Why? So okay, check it. What I'm learning from football and learning about like people that are kind of good are like kind of shorter, whatever, because they're more agile and stuff. And these are two nations that seem to have shorter people in their nations. So you would think they would be like more nimble and quick. And how China, every time they show us a display of any type of discipline, it's like always high end, like how they show their military, like how everything is like top tier. So I would thought they would have like some type of Nike level or you would say Chinese level facilities that would just mill out great players in any sport they want to play. And I thought they would invest more money into this where they would actually have players with the same discipline as they have with their military, like people that just practice all day. That's all you do. You play football. That's the only thing you're going to do. You're going to be great. I'm surprised they did not do that. That's surprising me.
Heaven's sake, in India, 150,000 people is a medium-sized wedding party. That really hurts.
But the strangest part isn't that China and India.
And shout out to the channel Search Party. This videos come from his channel, which is Sam Ellis, the guy that we're watching right now. So check him out, subscribe, and all that.
Aren't in this World Cup. It's that they're never in the World Cup. China has just one appearance.
What you mean never?
India has 0. That's fewer than Wales,
What?
Haiti, or even North Korea. You'll often hear that China and India.
What? Even North Korea made it? And North Korea be getting sanctioned and banned. Not North Korea, Russia, and all them be getting sanctioned and banned from it. And then they talking about that India didn't even make it, not once. Who are they playing? What is their league? What league are they eligible to play for?
India simply don't prioritize football. They prefer and dominate other sports.
Cricket.
And while that's partly true, I don't believe it lets them off the hook for the World Cup.
Yeah,
Because
no.
according to the data, China has 200 million football fans, and
But-
India has 136 million. That's more than some countries who make the World Cup all the time. So the question isn't why aren't China and India interested in football? It's how come they can't turn a huge amount of interest into talent.
It's a matter of great frustration to me. There does not seem to be a sense of national outrage.
And what's possible if they could.
Football is the sport. China knows this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why didn't they? Yeah.
Any country that wants to make the World Cup, let alone play well in it, has to turn its children into elite players. Pretty much all of them use a system shaped like a pyramid. At the foundation is the most basic necessity: space to play. Whether it's pristine grass pitches, a turf field, or a concrete lot with some goalposts, the more the better. Europe has more than 400,000 pitches. That gives as many kids as possible a way to play, even casually. In the middle, there are organizations that keep kids playing as they age.
Yeah.
In school, in weekend games, or in academy.
Yeah, that's where it stops at in America. To let y'all know what's going on here in America, that's where it stops at in the developmental, where that's where they price everybody out. So that's why we're not good. As soon as it comes to this age group and it's time for them to go to camps and all that, yeah, man, you better have thousands of dollars to even think you're gonna play.
Further upper layers of football leagues. In England, there are more than 11 levels, ranging from semi-professional leagues all the way to the very professional $8 billion a year English Premier League. Ultimately, a pyramid should work like a conveyor belt, delivering talent to the national team, which plays at the World Cup. The most effective pyramids are wide at the bottom and virtually seamless all the way to the top. That allows prodigies like France's Kylian Mbappe to be spotted young and accelerated toward the national team. And for late bloomers like Germany's Deniz Undav to get a second chance. At 14, Undav was dropped from a club academy for being too small. While working in a factory.
So a height thing is, I thought, okay, because of Messi, I thought like height really kind of didn't really matter. Well, he's like built like a block. He's like built like a Lego character. Like he's just all one piece. Like it's because he's supposed to have been short from what I looked at from his story that he's supposed to have been short until they gave him whatever gene hormone therapy that they had to give him. But I thought like being between 5'6" and 5'10" is actually ideal. I thought that was the thing. I thought being between 5'6" and 5'10" is like ideal for this sport because of you can be very nimble. Those are usually the quick people. I didn't know that.
He kept playing in a low professional league, then slowly rose all the way to the national team. Without that low professional league, Undav might have quit. Instead, he was Germany's breakout star at this World Cup, scoring 3 goals in the first 2 games. Now, India and China's problem isn't that they don't have football pyramids. It's that theirs don't look anything like this. And India's is in the worst shape. Running a business often means using one app for sales, another for accounting, another for inventory, and one app to keep track of all that information. That's a recipe for chaos. Luckily, there's a select inventory, sales.
We can't go through that.
You can start with the application.
I know you had to get your ads off.
Now we'll get you back to the story.
Okay, we know you had to get your ads off.
There was a time, before my time, in the 1950s, when India was a serious football playing country.
Bobby Ghosh writes about geopolitics and, when he can, football.
India was an Asian power. India made it to the semi-final stages in the Olympics. It was invited to participate in the World Cup. There are all kinds of legends around why it didn't go.
One held that FIFA wouldn't let India's team play barefoot. In reality, India preferred to focus on the Olympics. What India...
That's crazy. They wanted to play barefoot? That's wild.
...may not have realized is that it was passing on its best chance to play in a World Cup. In 1971, India beat its former colonizer, England, in cricket.
That's going to be it, giving India victory here in the Oval Test match.
The victory set off a wave of national pride that exploded a decade later when India became...
I thought about, originally before I made this channel and converted it into just football and trying to see what's going on with this sport and keeping up with this sport, I thought about doing cricket. But I was just like, I was never interested in it. Like I seen the commercials for like the games coming up when I was young. They used to have commercials for where I was at. I don't know why, but that was kind of really it. It never piqued my interest. They always sold us like Major League Soccer, if anything, because of Freddie Adu. But other than that, I was never really interested into that. I was always interested into this sport. Now, finally, at my age, that I have time to actually sit down and explore exactly what's going on. I have way more interest in this than actual cricket.
World champions.
But I always knew that India, they was that in cricket. I always knew that was their sport.
By the 2000s, cricket was king, and India invested heavily in a cricket pyramid, while neglecting to build a football pyramid. At the bottom, there simply aren't enough ways for Indian kids to play. In its 2023 strategy documents, India's Football Association admits that there is relatively low participation because of irregular level of formal activities, lack of facilities, and not enough trained personnel. Countries in FIFA's top 100 typically have between 0.7 and 5 licensed coaches per 10,000 people. India has just 0.06. Even the kids who start playing often run out of places to play. In 2023, there were less than 100 development clubs, according to the All India Football Federation. The very few players who make it into India's Super League have to deal with constant chaos.
When the AIFF put the Indian Super League's commercial rights up for sale no one showed up.
No fixtures, no answers, only uncertainty.
Players are begging, clubs are collapsing, Indian football is bleeding.
God damn. Jesus.
While the Pro League fights to survive,
They're
the
going
national
through-
team is hamstrung by problems with its governing body. The All India Football Federation officials are constantly accused of corruption and harassment. In 2022, it was temporarily banned by FIFA. The result is a messy patchwork of a pyramid that doesn't develop nearly enough talent to make a good national team. India's highest FIFA ranking in the past decade is 94th.
Damn.
There is one functioning part. In northeastern India, more people prefer football over cricket. And
So
they
that's
built
probably
their
where their
own
best
mini
players
pyramid
come from.
with the bottom, middle, and top. As a result,
that's
Northeast
probably where
India
their best
often
players come
supplies
from.
almost half of the players on the national team. But India
Figured,
needs more than
told
one
you.
region to make the World Cup. India started qualification with a win over Kuwait, but was eliminated after losing to Afghanistan at home. Bobby's concerned how little outrage
That's what I was just about to say. Like, what? That's their league. That would be their league. Like Afghanistan, Kuwait, Qatar, North Korea, South Korea. Like, that's their league. That's who they would play. They'll play teams like that.
it caused.
The same six people, and myself included, who agonize about this every 4 years are agonizing about it again. I've not detected anything to suggest that a larger group of people are upset.
The decades of disappointment seems to have stuck Indian football in a vicious cycle.
Not enough people are interested enough for a politician to care. And because a politician doesn't care, there's not going to be a change. And because there's not going to be change, people are not going to care.
But while India isn't trying hard enough to get better at football, China's trying too hard. Xi Jinping loves football. While climbing the Communist Party ranks, he was pictured playing football, collecting jerseys, and he often expressed three
This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I said earlier about them loving. I said I was surprised they didn't have like a factory. Like how China is able to develop systems to optimize performance. I'm surprised they do not have that. And if they do, why aren't they? I guess we're about to find out.
wishes for his country. 1. Qualify for the World Cup. 2. Host the World Cup. 3. Win the World Cup. That made Xi a powerful ambassador for what seemed like the only sport China wasn't good at. For decades, the party identified and controlled young athletes' development. The top-down approach turned
Just what
out
I'm saying.
something
Look at the
divers,
systems.
gymnasts, and table tennis players.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm
never
talking about.
a very good football team.
Football has to be a grassroots sport, which means bottoms up.
Journalist Mark Dreyer wrote Sporting Superpower after more than a decade covering Chinese sports.
If you think about a diver who wins Olympic gold, they want to be able to do the exact same dive again and again and again with absolutely no difference between the dives. If you think about a football player who does the same move again and again and again, they very quickly become pretty easy to defend against. So you need creativity, you need flair, you need the opposite skill.
So, like I was saying about the systems, when it came to the systems of how China does it, so that's him giving an explanation. Like China works on systems. That's like very known if you know about Chinese culture. Everything is systematic. So if they can't repeat the same thing over and over and over, as you said, they become very, very predictable and easy to defend because you don't learn this same move from this same coach who does this same defense to whatever they feel like this is the most successful way to win. They have basically terrible adaptation. And that's probably why they're producing terrible players.
China's men's football team failed to make a World Cup until 2002. It scored 0 goals and conceded 9. A humiliation that Xi was determined to redeem once he became China's leader. In 2015, his government released a master plan that said all the right things. China would build its pyramid starting at the bottom. It pledged to build 70,000 pitches, 20,000 training centers, and get 30 million children playing football regularly in school. It promised to strengthen the middle with academies and advanced leagues, and at the top, help turn the Chinese Super League into one of the world's best. It encouraged corporations to buy Super League clubs and sign stars that would theoretically improve the competition. The ensuing spending spree made even Europe break a sweat.
Yeah, because what they're doing is the same thing that's happening with Saudi Arabia. How they got the money, the government's getting involved, and these people got the money, to make Europe sweat. Europe ain't got the paper, and now America's in it now in 2026. we're going to start seeing billion-dollar contracts like it's nothing.
Team spent more in the first 2 months of the year than the top Italian, French, German and Spanish leagues combined.
Real Madrid, PSG and Chelsea are no longer the hunters, but instead have become the prey.
China's master plan looked great on paper until it crashed into reality. Millions of young kids started playing football, but most had to stop once they became teenagers. Preparing for China's very rigorous Gaokao exam left little room for sports. It left a huge gap that prevented all but the very best from rising into the development programs. There, they were subject to relentless drilling that didn't make them great football players, no matter how hard the state tried.
Doesn't have the patience for implementation. How can we turbocharge this? How can we shorten the time? The answer is you can't, but that's not an answer that they want to hear.
Then the lucky few to reach the Super League faced constant dysfunction. First, China postponed the season when COVID-19 hit. Then a real estate crisis crippled owners' finances.
I remember that.
And eventually,
I remember that it was Evergrande that happened to.
it caused several Super Leagues.
Because I remember because for people that have been on my Instagram, from people that have been on my Instagram that's now on this channel or whatever, a lot of y'all understand that I do news based off of cryptocurrency, finance, and all of that, whatever. And the first domino that happened into the crashes that we're seeing now in what we're having over here in America, we're in like a Great Depression right now in America. It's very bad. We're in a recession, very, very bad. And we're slipping into a global recession, and the first domino of that was the Evergrande crash. So that probably messed up a lot of stuff when it had to do with sports, and that's why we needed the World Cup. Because the World Cup, honestly, probably just kind of financially saved America, because we had to find some way to siphon some type of money into our economy, because all the money was going out. Everything in America is being outsourced. So the World Cup, low key, probably saved America. Probably, and they're not talking about that. We needed that bid for sure, because we're going through it. And you see what happened. What's happening with China is the Evergrande crash that messed up a lot of things, and it's messing up their sports infrastructure.
Clubs to fold. When things couldn't get any worse, a match-fixing scandal erupted.
Former head of China's Football Association being given life sentence for taking bribes.
Chinese football has handed lifetime bans to 73 people for match fixing.
The reputation of the league is being tarnished, an own goal for Xi Jinping's Great Dream.
To make matters even worse, the party divided the pyramid between political bodies, and every few years assigned new leaders, regardless of experience. Like the one who told Mark the national team's problem was pulling players from rival Super League clubs.
And I'm thinking, well, yes, that's just how it works, how it works all over the world. But this guy was thinking like, oh, I've got a brainwave. And I looked up his background. This guy had recently been promoted from the sewage and waterworks treatment department. Non-footballing people making footballing decisions.
Yeah, that's a terrible decision. Terrible to put somebody like that in
China tried
power.
to engineer a football pyramid from the top down and ended up starving its national team of talent. By 2026, it was ranked 91st in the world and failed to make another World Cup. China was eliminated by Indonesia. Obviously, China's a long way from winning a World Cup, but Xi Jinping seems to have also abandoned his dream of hosting one.
I think that the calculus from the senior leadership is that any soft power benefits from hosting the World Cup would be severely outweighed by the humiliating performance by the national team on the pitch. And so they figure, well, we don't want to do that.
Neither China or India are investing in the resources or time needed to make the World Cup. But why aren't they using a shortcut? Cape Verde and Curacao didn't make the World Cup with only native-born players. Both recruited foreign-born players whose parents and grandparents were
I kind of figured they did that.
native-born.
Because the players were too good. When Cape Verde, they almost took out Argentina. Their players were good. I'm like, they had to be from somewhere else.
Decades. 15 of Cape Verde's 26 players were born abroad, as were 25 of Curaçao's. These players lifted their teams through qualifying and, for Cape Verde, into the knockout rounds. India and China also have diaspora.
I wonder if they're gonna have like a scandal behind that. What did they give these players to come play for the national team?
Big ones. But neither is recruiting many players from them. One reason is citizenship. While Cape Verde and Curacao allowed their players to keep their original citizenships, China and India require players to become solely Indian or Chinese citizens. That's something few are willing to do, especially while China and India's teams are.
You got to make exceptions, man. You got to make exceptions if you want to win. Got to bend the rules.
Are terrible. Back in the 2010s, China convinced some Brazilian-born players to switch, but they didn't make a difference on the national team.
I think, honestly, the problems run much, much deeper than that, and it wouldn't be fair to expect a couple of foreigners to come in and suddenly turn things around.
India is leaving more talent on the table, especially in Europe. There are several players on European clubs that are eligible to play for India's national team under FIFA's rules. But until India's government changes its rules, they can't.
If you ask people for an explanation, you don't really get a good one. There's a lot of hemming and hawing, and eventually what it comes down to, well,
like I said, they gotta bend the rules, man. Ain't no way. The game, as you see all these scandals and match fixing and all of this that's going on in, unsavory ways they're making transfers happen, but they're yielding results. That should let you know, man. We gotta keep it real. You gotta cheat to win, man. You gotta bend some rules, man. Y'all been was supposed to got that little rule off India. Y'all been supposed to got that off. Y'all been supposed to, hey, listen, man, you wanna play for any national teams and you're already from here and you can, come on. Come play. Get this dual citizenship. Come on.
It's always been.
Let's win.
It makes no sense.
That could change if the government passes a proposal to create a sports passport that would allow dual nationals to represent
This is what I'm
India.
saying. Exactly.
A few foreign players won't turn India into a World Cup contenders overnight, but it could lead to a surprise win. And India knows better than any country what a surprise win can do for a sport.
Success breeds success and breeds more interest. I think something similar needs to happen with football.
If there's anything I've learned from this World Cup, it's that the rest of the world is getting better. A lot better. Tiny countries took on giants and held their own. They used this World Cup to get on the map and gain the kind of soft power that goes beyond football.
This year was lit.
So it's strange to see two rising superpowers miss out on all that because of their governments.
So I got a question, because now he's wrapping this video up and I'm gonna wrap this one up. So I have a question is, was the 2026 World Cup one of the best World Cups? People got to see the villains of Argentina go down, a young star rise. We got to see a lot of small countries actually come in and have almost Cinderella stories and hold their own. You guys got to experience American culture, which I realized it wasn't whatever you guys were told, and realized it was fun. It's fun over here. They were like, oh, you guys can do that over here? Yes, yes. We have so much freedom. That's why it's so dangerous here. That's why it can be dangerous, because we have too much. I won't say too much freedom. No such thing as too much freedom, but sometimes people kind of forget there are laws set up. But the government is basically stopping it. I think that's the only thing. Yeah, once they get the sports passports and get that figured out, they'll be a lot better. So y'all be easy. I'll catch you on the next one. Yeah, I liked that.